Greetings all! Today, we'll be examining the uncommon Dragon-type Pokemon Goomy, its relatively rare evolution Sliggoo, both of which are known as the Soft Tissue Pokémon, and its final exceptionally rare evolution Goodra, the Dragon Pokémon. While the members of the Goomy family might appear to be related to slugs at first, in truth, they are technically dragons. The form taken by most of the members of this family is primarily the result of de-evolution in their physical form. Goomy resembles slugs heavily, with a gelatinous, opaque body hiding their organs, and a density difference in their body's tissues being indicated by two different shades of color on their bodies. They possess a series of 4 green circular body markings that seem to function as eye spots for deterring predators, while their actual eyes are small, black, and very poor for the most part. They possess a series of 4 gelatinous horns on the tops of their bodies, and their deformed mouth is hidden in the line of density difference that separates their body into 2 halves. Sliggoo resembles snails more than they do slugs as a result of the swirly hump on their backs, but rather than the remnants of a shell of some sort, this hump is where the vast majority of their internal organs are stored, brain included. They still retain a density difference that results in a 2-toned color pattern on their bodies, but their necks have developed more, so they have a discernible head and neck region. Their horns have also grown longer in evolution, but their eyes have devolved to the point of not existing at all, being replaced by large green eye spots. They rely on their horns for discerning their environment in their place. Goodra are the only member of the family that resemble a true dragon, with their belly and mouth region being a dark purple color and the rest of their frame being a lighter shade, though not due to density differences as is the case for their pre-evolved forms. Goodra possess a fairly stout frame with a large tail, adorned with green spots on the sides where the upper and lower color shades of their bodies meet. They have large green eyes that grant them exceptional vision compared to even Goomy. They have a pair of functional arms and feet with 2 toes and fingers each, and their 4 horns have fused together into a single sturdy pair. Their bodies are still quite soft and constantly excrete slime, but they are far more resilient than their pre-evolved forms and make good use of their basic anatomy in and out of battle. The Goomy family is a rare example of de-evolution in the world of Pokemon, let alone among dragon types, and is the direct product of climate change and environmental isolation in fairly recent times. Like Magikarp, it is believed that all members of this family were once much more powerful than they are today, and were an actual threat to other life forms. However, their bodies have always seemed to have a soft form and required moist conditions in order to survive, much as many gastropods do, so they were isolated to fairly damp places and areas such as the Kalos and Alola regions, though they were imported into the region in the latter case. However, a sudden change in climate thousands of years ago bottlenecked the family into swampy areas where there were still at least relatively moist conditions they could thrive in. Over thousands of years, isolation in these small locations without major predators allowed these beasts to develop into life forms that were better adapted to survive in these isolated environments. In the process, however, they became more slug and snail-like as they adapted to their environment, losing most of their dragon-type powers in the process and effectively devolving into the state we observe them in today. This did not destroy their dragon-type attributes altogether, but it did severely weaken them, and while Goomy and Sliggoo can learn a few dragon-type moves on their own, Goodra is now the only member of the family that still retains much of its original power, and is thus a true but controllable threat to other Pokemon in battle. As a result of their de-evolution into their current forms, the members of this family possess an unusual mix of abilities, moves, and stats, with them primarily being focused more on defense than anything else. In looking at their abilities, these creatures can possess the hydration ability as a base ability since their bodies thrive off of moisture and need it to survive, while their constant grazing on algae and waterborne plants as a key staple of their diet also grants them access to Sap Sipper as a base ability. Interestingly enough, though, their hidden ability is completely unique to them and is a direct consequence of their slimy bodies. All members of the Goomy family naturally excrete a thick mucus over their bodies that serves different purposes depending upon what stage of evolution their family is being examined, but in general it serves as both a way of keeping them moist in dry conditions and a powerful shield against energy-based attacks. However, in rare cases, specimens of this family can produce an abnormally high volume of the viscous material, to the point where it can easily slough off in massive sheets when these beasts are struck forcibly. This ties in with their unique hidden ability, Gooey. While active, if an opponent makes physical contact with these creatures with an attack, they will be coated in this thick slime as a result, and their speed stat will be lowered. This can give these otherwise somewhat slow creatures a serious advantage in battle if applied correctly, and is thus an interesting ability worth testing out for oneself. In terms of their overall stats, these beasts are focused on special defense above all other things, again a consequence of the energy reflecting properties of their body slime. Despite their devolved state, these beasts are still considered to be part of a pseudo-legendary family, and in the case of their fully evolved form, Goodra, while almost all of their stats are below average for a fully evolved Dragon-type Pokemon, their base special defense stat is incredibly high, granting them the highest base special defense stat out of all Dragon-type Pokemon, and furthermore tying them with Dragonite, Salamence, Garchomp, Hydreigon, and Kommo-o for the highest base stat total out of all non-legendary Dragon-type Pokemon. These creatures might not look that imposing, but they can definitely hit hard when it counts, and prove to be a powerful special wall that few opponents will be able to get past easily without physical attacks on their side. At an early stage, Goomy are definitely among the weakest of Dragon-type Pokemon, and are very much limited in the types of attacks they can wield at first, being stuck with generally weak moves like Tackle, Bubble, and Absorb, only getting access to stronger moves like Dragon Breath, Flail, Body Slam, and Muddy Water much later in life. As a result of this, these creatures will rarely leave the safety of their swampy and marshy habitats, as they know that they are unlikely to survive outside of areas where their weak bodies are built to readily survive in. This also comes down to the fact that their soft, gelatinous bodies require constant moisture in order to stay healthy and breathe, as they have no lungs, and instead absorb oxygen from the air through pores in their skin. If their bodies dry out, these pores close, and they will suffocate. The thick coat of slime they excrete to help them move can help keep moisture in for a little while, but it has limited viscosity and can only protect them for so long. As such, Goomy will generally stay in damp, shaded areas when not in the water in order to keep their mostly water-filled bodies safe, using their horns as a sensory apparatus to not only detect the overall moisture level in the air, but also as a chemical filter and sonic receptor, effectively using it to smell and hear the surroundings to detect predators when they are otherwise not within their poor line of sight. This can actually be used to surprise and get the jump on one of these creatures though, as they are prone to overstimulation and can become locked into a state of physical shock if they are grabbed, preventing them from reacting or moving their bodies at all for some time. Thankfully, these creatures are not completely defenseless, as the mucous membrane that covers their bodies is not only so slippery and such a good shock absorber that it results in most direct attacks bouncing off, but it is laden with germs that can readily make other life forms sick, so it is ill-advised to come into direct contact with them, or at least recommended that one quickly washes their body off after contact to minimize the chances of an infection. Sadly, this does little to protect them against cutting strikes that can cleave through their soft body with little effort, so caution should be taken if one is looking to use one of these beasts in battle. Though Sliggoo might technically be an evolved form of Goomy, their anatomy only continues to deteriorate as they evolve, as these creatures completely lose their eyes when they evolve. In turn, they become completely dependent upon their sensory horns to smell and hear their environment, though at the very least the horns are more developed and are not so easily overstimulated as they were with Goomy. While these beasts are more powerful than Goomy, their sluggishly moving bodies are still fairly weak to cutting strikes and can be pierced readily with little trouble, rendering them highly vulnerable to attacks of this type. Thankfully for these creatures, however, they have a powerful defense that often makes other Pokemon and people alike wary of coming near them. While the sticky slime that Goomy excreted was mostly there for defense and to keep them moist, in the case of Sliggoo, the slime now contains an extremely powerful acid that can dissolve just about anything that touches it, making it ill-advised to strike them at all with physical attacks if they require direct contact. Sliggoo will often use this slime to their advantage, hurling it at potential attackers and especially prey, letting it dissolve them so these beasts can then slurp up the mixture, as they lack the teeth and solid jaw structure needed to eat the meat of other creatures normally. While Sliggoo can be interesting to have around, they can also be incredibly dangerous to have in a battle, as their limited brain functions leave them unable to easily decipher between friend and foe, carelessly dissolving and gobbling up anything that gets even remotely near them. Moreover, due to their devolved state, these creatures only ever get access to one other move after evolving from Goomy, namely the Dragon Pulse attack, and are otherwise set in life, with no need or ability to really evolve again without specific environmental conditions. As noted, Sliggoo are normally incapable of actually evolving at all, but there seems to be a genetic remnant of their past heritage in their forms, as when these creatures reach a high enough experience level when it is raining naturally, not induced by a move or ability, it causes a change in their bodies at the cellular level, awakening many of their otherwise inactive draconic genes and allowing them to evolve into their true adult form, Goodra. It is still uncertain what causes the change, but it may be linked to an imbalance of ions in their bodies due to extreme water intake. Regardless, the transformation into Goodra is dramatic, as these beasts finally obtain a form that is still mostly soft, but has a solid physical structure and is capable of using that form to great effect. In evolving, these creatures finally regain not only their sight, but receive a dramatic improvement in it, allowing them to observe the world around them just as easily as a human can. As a result of this, their horns fuse and devolve and lose most of their sensory equipment, instead becoming highly elastic and retractable, which allows these creatures to use them as a weapon to strike with potent feint and power whip attacks, both of which are accessible to them only after evolving. The large tail that they develop also grants them access to the Aqua Tail attack immediately after evolving, and their overall stronger form enables them to use the Outrage attack not too long after initially evolving. Their larger bodies are an imposing force, as while they still share with their pre-evolutions a weakness to cutting strikes, their slimy skin holds a thick layer of fat that makes most other forms of direct attack bounce right off of them. Moreover, their elastic bodies allow them to throw powerful punches equal in strength to that of 100 pro boxers, making them a serious threat to contend with. Despite this, however, these beasts are actually quite meek and shy, and are often bullied as a result, even though they will gladly strike out at those that dare to tease them too much. They are also highly emotional, for if they are left alone for too long, loneliness will overcome them, and they will start to weep gooey tears. On the flip side though, this can make it fairly easy to cheer them up, and if one is very friendly towards them, they will gladly and frequently give large, slimy hugs to show their affection. This might result in one needing to take a shower or bath at least once to get the slime off, but no harm ever comes of this, as they do not possess the potent acids that are in the slime of Sliggoo, rendering Goodra one of the safest fully evolved Dragon-type Pokemon that one can interact with in any situation. While they certainly might not always be among the strongest, nor the most conventional Dragon-type Pokemon, the members of the Goomy family are fascinating beasts that can more than make worthy partners if one is willing to be patient with them. It will take a lot of perseverance and the right environmental conditions to get them to their most powerful state, but anyone that is looking for a dragon type that is fairly easy to train overall will not be disappointed with these slimy beasts. Just make sure that, before you decide to raise one, you always bring a spare change of clothes with you. It might seem like a waste of space, but if a battle goes well and your Pokemon wishes to celebrate by giving you a big hug, then you're going to need it. Unless you don't mind looking like a slime victim from Ghostbusters when entering the nearest Pokemon Center. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description. With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.